Cool.
Strippers have names and personalities.
Really?
Oh, they do. They do.
Well, nothing can beat a mother's love, isn't
No comment.
it? Yeah. Your brush turkey's child.
Something actually that worries me. My son doesn't watch turkeys as much as he
I know. Go for yourself. I mean, that's what how I was brought up. What's the name?
So we are, what do you call it? Heart, wisdom, heart wisdom. Oh, Heart Sutra.
Something about the Heart Sutra.
Sutra, perfect. You know, something called.
I heard of this sutra before. Can't remember what's its name. Maybe the Heart Sutra. I took one of those chocolates that is it chewing offered? Anyway, one of them was pretty sweet. Ants have completely emptied. No, it was just like a husk. Well, no, there was a wrapper and a bit of chocolate on the outside, but the inside was completely missing. The ants, yeah, the ants has just totally decimated it. It was pretty cute.
Oh, we have to put him in a jar.
Yeah, you get to lick the wrapper, you're doing all right. Yeah, you're
Don't say she's still
so lucky. And you're not so bad.
Who got up for lunch? Chilling and who else? I saw her heading out with Mo. Oh, that's.
No, he said that was all fancy.
Life is so wonderful.
All right.
So if you want chocolate, subsequently they're in the fridge.
There used to be a tin. Pelly was saying that the tin has disappeared.
What tin?
With chocolates or without
Chocolate tins
chocolates?
Oh, yeah, but it's long gone. Okay,
Gone beyond.
yeah, those days are over.
So believed.
Gone beyond.
All right. The Heart Sutra, page something.
So did I take it from this morning that we are not actually allowed to eat gallets and onions now at any time, not just precepts or black foods or?
I don't think the instruction was don't eat them.
No,
That's just a question.
no, I don't think that was the instructions. And if it was, I'm totally ignoring it.
I don't think that's the instruction.
I just got alarm too.
Well,
So
Yeah, I mean, I've got some onions at home. I went home and went, oh, do I need to get rid of those now?
Even when the cafe should have broken up.
Oh, I think they might have sprouted by then.
well, I
What's the first ingredient that goes in? It's either onions or.
well, let's do the Heart Sutra and then talk garlic.
Okay. Sorry, Forrest.
It's all right. It's all right. I love garlic conversations. They're my favorite. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gem. Thus did I hear at one time the Bhagavan was dwelling on a march of villages in Rajguru, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Bhagavan was absorbed in concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound perception. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very perfection of wisdom and beheld those Viveka gates also as empty of inherent nature. Through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shara put this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom? Satan, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Avalokiteshvara said this to the Venerable Shavadabhidra. Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom, one like this correctly and repeatedly beholding those Viveka gates also as empty of inherent nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than The same way of feeling discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stains, not deficient, not fulfilled. Yes, there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, no phenomenon. There is no I element and so on out, including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance and so on out, including no aging and death and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and health, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and dwell in the perfection of wisdom, mind without obscuration and without fear, having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in three camps also manifestly completely awakened to unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of the great knowledge, the unsurpassable. The mantra equal to the unequal, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as the truth since it is not false. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is equal. Tayata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisattva. Shariputra the Bodhisattva Mahasatva Iron. Then the Bhagavan works on that concentration, commended the Bodhisattva Mahasatva Arya Avalokos for saying, well said, son of Nilija, it is like that, it is like that. One should proclaim wisdom just as you've indicated, even the Tathagatas rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Bodhisattva Mahasatva Arya Avalokos and those surrounding in their entirety and along with the worlds of Asuras and Gandharvas were overjoyed and highly praised that spoken by them. Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Badu Dani Kam Suchi Dagi Chinjagi Betsamagi Dola Penchi Sange Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Badu Dani Kam Suchi Dagi Chinjagi Betsamagi Dola Penchi Sange Dopasho Chodan Soki Chonam La Chanchu Badu Dani Kam Suchi Dagi Chinjagi Betsamagi Dola Benchi Sangye Do Pasho. All right. Good afternoon, my little garlics. Just a little that one. All right. So making offerings. I think that the verses are quite straightforward, and also the commentary itself is quite straightforward. So I thought of pulling out 2 or 3 points from the other commentary I was looking at. If you guys at home or here have some questions, we can do that. And then I thought that we can start looking at root downfalls of the Bodhisattva vow. You know, since we're making our way to chapter number 3, in which we're going to take up bodhicitta, take up the Bodhisattva vows, then the Bodhisattva vow is different to the vow of ordination and also to the tantric vow. So when you take ordination, you're not supposed to know what the vow is. You can only know about the vow after you take ordination. And the same thing also applies to the tantric vow, right? So you're not allowed to study the tantric vow unless you receive it. With the Bodhisattva vow, it's different. So you can study the 14 root downfalls. You can assess your ability to guard against those 14 root downfalls. And then if you feel that you're ready and it's what you want to do, then you're taking the vow in an informed way. So I thought that we can start maybe on a daily basis or weekly basis to look at the 14 root downfalls. I don't know if we'll cover all of them by the time we get to the relevant section, but we can start and see how it goes. Chukila?
I was just thinking because some people may be taking I don't know if they'll be taking them for the first time with the generative empowerment.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so His Holiness the Dalai Lama is giving a Chinrezig empowerment this half weekend. So actually, it's going to start on Friday. What time will it be? 1:30 Udlo time, and then also the same day, Saturday. Sorry, Friday, Saturday. Yeah. So since it's an empowerment, any empowerment comes with a Bodhisattva vow. So we are going to take upon ourselves the Bodhisattva vow. So actually, if you have time, if you're at home and you have time, it's actually nice to prepare your mind in a way that Shantideva teaches here, right? So in your mind, you can, if you have time, then you can meditate on making offerings, and also the rest of the preparation is a way of preparing your mind, not only for the Bodhisattva vow that will be given together with the empowerment, but also for requesting the empowerment, for the empowerment, the stage of the empowerment itself. So it's a good way to combine all that Bodhisattva galore. So, chapter number 2. Looking at, first of all, let's look at the outline. Let's see, not this. Not this, sorry. Wow. That's a new thing. Well, I tried to do something that Madhu taught me yesterday and kind of now discovered something new. All right. Yeah, it's working. But that was like something that I've never seen before that.
Only pressing that will cause, I think, only that pressing will zoom in.
All right. So, the actual making of offerings. So, first of all, we began with offering unowned substances. We discussed that yesterday. We also spoke yesterday of offering one's own body. And as Khenpo Kumpen's commentary mentioned, it's not that you offer just your body in this life, but you can also offer all your bodies in future lifetimes. And you think that you offer them to the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, and so forth. Now they are in charge of your body. They own it. And therefore, what you need to do is to apply yourself to virtue. I mean, this verse mentions only body, but I guess that you can also think of offering your speech and mind. So not only you should act virtuously with your body, but also in your speech, you should be acting virtuously. And in your mind, you should definitely attempt to be more virtuous. I'm saying that also with respect to myself. I should try to be more virtuous. All right, so then we have mentally created offering. Mentally created offering is divided into surpassable offerings and unsurpassable offerings. So it's quite interesting with the offering unowned substances and mentally emanated offerings. In some sense, they're similar in a sense that with unowned offering, you visualize those amazing environments with forests and lakes and swans, and in some sense they're also created by your own imagination, right? They are also mentally emanated offerings that are unowned by anyone. With a mentally created offering, we offer ablution, for example. So you meditate or you visualize a bathing house. It's also unowned by someone, isn't it? So there's some similarities, but it's not that there's a problem here.
The unowned is that you're thinking of actual wild.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Whereas the bathhouse, unless it's got one in mind that belongs to you, it's not unowned, it's owned.
I guess I wonder if when you offer unowned things and you think of environments and rivers and so forth, do you need to think only of things that exist and that just enchanting and offer them, or can you think of also just creating beautiful environments in your mind and offer them?
You probably do that anyway because you're still then that's the
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a massive point. It's not that there is like a contradiction. It's not that we need to intellectualize that too much. It's just kind of a point. So with mentally created offering, we begin with verse 10. Verse 10. So it says, to very sweetly scented bathing chambers with brilliantly sparkling crystal floors and exquisite pillars ablaze with gems, having canopies above aglow with pearls. I beseech the Tathagatas and their children to come and bathe their bodies abundantly from many jeweled vases filled with water scented and enticing to the accompaniment of song and music. So, so you visualize the bathhouse, and there is a really nice way of visualizing it described by Khenpo Kumpen's commentary. And then in verse 11, you invite the Buddhas and Bodhisattva to come forward to take a bath. It's actually quite interesting the way that it is describing Khenpo Kumpen's commentary. So I'll put it on the screen. Sorry, I'm pressing the wrong thing. Oh, there it is. So how do I switch between
Apple and exclamation.
not this, sorry. Not this, not this. Okay, I thought I did that. Okay. Maybe I need to keep you by my side and you do this thing. Anyway, it sounds wrong. Okay. So in section 97 of this commentary, it says, they arrived at the Tathagatas, those who traverse in harmony with the natural state as it is. Although the minds do not depart from the Dhammakaya, they come as Rupakaya, the illusory wisdom display, the form that tames whoever needs taming. They arrive together with their sons, which means with the Bodhisattvas, the ocean-like assembly of an entourage of Bodhisattvas, and hang their clothes over the railing. So before we get to hanging the cloth over the railing, it says that they arise from the natural state, from the Dhammakaya. So they never arise from the Dhammakaya, right? So often when you do a tantric practice where you invite deities, like for example, the wisdom beings or the empowering deities, you invite them, and sometimes they say, you invite them from the natural abodes, and then they depart back to the natural abodes, right? So there are different explanations about these natural abodes. One of them is you can consider the natural abode to be the realm that they reside in. It's quite weird to think of the realm that they reside in, because Buddhas reside everywhere. You know, wherever phenomena exist, there you will find also a Buddha's mind and also a Buddha's body. But it is still said that, for example, the pure field, the pure realm of Amitabha is Sukhavati. The pure realm of Chenrezig is Potala in the south. You know, so they have different realms associated with them. So one way of thinking about inviting them from the natural state or from the natural abode is to invite them from their particular realms. Do we have an invader brush turkey? Bigger. A humanoid form of... Sunny. A humanoid form of brush turkey. So that's one way. The second way is to invite them from the Dhammakaya. That's another understanding of inviting deities from the natural abode. So for us and for everyone there is not a Buddha, we change between two phases of meditation. There is meditative equipoise, in which a bodhisattva, let's say, will be single-pointed on emptiness, meditating single-pointedly on emptiness. And then there would be in-between sessions or post-attainment sessions in which the bodhisattva will do something else. They would either have other forms of meditation. They would meditate on bodhicitta, the four immeasurables, God ethics, practice generosity, and so forth. This is called post-attainment session or in-between sessions. So post-attainment. Sometimes it is also called subsequent, right? Subsequent attainment or post-attainment. So you have meditative equipoise and post-attainment. So bodhisattvas and also we cannot have those two periods occurring simultaneously. Because we cannot have them occurring simultaneously, we have to alternate between the two. So when 10th ground bodhisattva eliminates the final level of cognitive obscurations, they do no longer need to alternate between the two. So post-attainment and meditative equipoise occur at the same time, which means that Buddhas never arise from meditative equipoise. They eternally remain in single-pointed equipoise on emptiness. And from within that equipoise, they can benefit all sentient beings. It sounds very high, right? So Buddhas don't need to arise from the meditation on emptiness. No, so this is why they say that they enter into that meditation from which they will never arise again. So they don't need to alternate between the meditative session and working for the sake of others. They can do that at the same time. So when you invite here Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you can think of inviting them from the Dhammakaya, in that they have this omniscient mind. And within that omniscient mind, they can send forth emanations. They don't need to emerge from the Dhammakaya mind in order to travel here, for example, to receive our offerings. From the Dhammakaya, there arises Rupakaya, you can say. So Rupakayas, we said that there are two forms. There are Nimanakayas and Sambhogakayas, those emanation bodies and enjoyment bodies or utility bodies. You can invite all of them, different forms of Nimanakayas, different forms of Sambhogakaya. And you actually invite these two forms because we then say that you offer them, you invite them. And as the commentary says, the arrived at Tathagatas, those who traverse in harmony with the natural state as it is. That refers to their equipoise on emptiness. So although the minds do not depart from the Dhammakaya, from their meditation on emptiness, they come as the Rupakaya, the illusory wisdom display, the form that tames whoever needs taming. So after all, we as sentient beings, we cannot really communicate with the Dhammakaya. We cannot see the Dhammakaya. We cannot get instructions directly from the Dhammakaya. What Buddhists use in order to benefit us, those whose mind needs to be tamed, is the Rupakaya. So they appear to us in whatever form we can communicate with, and through that they give us teachings, they do different activities in order to tame our minds. So they arrive together with their sons or daughters, or with the children, the ocean-like assembly of the entourage of bodhisattvas, and hang the clothes over the railing. That's quite I don't know, got me, it got me this line, like, what do you mean? Okay.
It must be big veiling.
Well, kind of, I don't know, it kind of, for me, when I read it, I thought myself, it sounds like a bodhisattva onsen, a Buddha onsen. Those kind of amazing Japanese bathhouses. Yeah, you have like onsens for Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Anyway.
And veiling for me reminds me of the Wild West, the cowboys.
Okay. Anyway.
It brings it to it really just gives it a sense of reality, like
Yeah.
it's real.
They're not really close on the
No,
ground.
I know, but it just makes it, the holy close, it
Yeah.
just makes it.
So anyway, then it says when you,
Were you also saying, Yaki, that the Dharmakaya is their natural abode?
yeah, you can say that the Dhammakaya is the natural abode. So you can say that it's the natural abode in the sense that they remain equipoised on the natural state. Now, the natural state is another way of expressing reality. Reality is the natural state in the sense that this is how things exist naturally. They exist as being empty of inherent existence. Yeah. Yeah. Next time that you go to an onsen, look for the railings. Anyway. So then it says either you or emanated offering goddesses offer white transparent bathing garments, clothe them, and bestow the bathing empowerments by pouring many large, beautiful precious vases made out of beryl and the like, properly filled with 2/3 with cleansing substances and pleasant waters, scented with various aromas. At the same time, outside the bathing pavilion, on platform made of light, are beautiful and delightful offering goddesses. Some offer lovely and melodious songs praising the Buddhas at a time when the Supreme One amongst humans was born. You know, those are this is from the praise of the Buddha, telling of the deeds of the Buddha, the 12 deeds, and the like. Some play round drums. Oboes?
They probably mean gowns.
Yeah.
Truth be known.
Okay. And so forth. I thus offer bathing accompanied by various kinds of music. Then, this is very nice. When the flags of the bathing pavilions are drawn, imagine that the bathing water rained down from the sky and purified the negative deeds and obscurations of all sentient beings, yourself and others, were seated beneath the pavilions. In particular, consider that all malicious and harmful intentions of regional deities, local spirits, demon spirits, disease-causing demons, and so forth are pacified. That diseases of humans and animals come to an end, and the precious bodhicitta is born in the mind of all. I guess of one thing, for me, one thing that work I think better is, it could be that there are particular harms pertaining to malicious and harmful intention of regional deities, local spirits, demons, spirits, and so forth. For me, personally, what works best is to think of those demons as my own afflictions, right? So I can think of this water, purifying my own mind, of my own afflictions, which, let me tell you, they are demonic. All right, so.
They talk about the offering goddesses there. They mentioned that a few times there. Actually didn't mention offering goddesses at all today.
Yeah, it didn't, but I think that kind of, there's what you find in Geta Dhammarincha's commentary. It's not as extensive as this commentary, and I think that also probably commentaries are given in combining not only the experience of the practitioner or the author of the commentary, but also other commentaries that they have consulted. So, some of them are abridged and some of them are extensive.
So offering goddesses are more extensive.
Probably.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like when you do your Vajrayana practice and so forth, offering the goddess, it's specifically said, yes, it's emanate and make the offering. And it doesn't always,
I mean, also when you attend an empowerment, but also when you do an extensive deity practice, often when you think of making offerings, then you visualize the rays of light that emanate from your heart, for example, and at the tip of the rays of light are offering goddesses. So it's not that you yourself are handing over the offering, it's rather that from your heart emanate those offering goddesses. They hold in their hands, the variety of offerings, they completely fill the sky. So, also in other practices, we employ them.
It's got it like in the Brahmacharya, the 5 sense objects, goddesses of action, desire.
Yeah, Vajrarupini and.
It just is a concise thing of all the sense objects.
Yeah. So then, so then we invite those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and then in verse 12 it says, "Let me dry their bodies with incomparable clothes, clean and well anointed with scent, and then may I present them with fragrant, well dry garments." In Khenpo Kumpan's presentation, he says that since we invited the Rupakaya, and we have two types of Rupakaya. We have Sambhogakayas, which we said that they have a particular form. They have a body that is adorned with the major marks and minor signs. Normally, you find those Sambhogakayas with those massive crown ornaments and earrings and 3 types of necklaces and bracelets and armlets and anklets and different types of ornaments. So obviously, it's not a monastic form, right? So since you offer, you also invite Nirmanakayas, and Nirmanakayas can be in a monastic form. So yesterday Geshe spoke of, if you offer clothing, they have to be in a particular color, in a fine color, which means that if you think of inviting Nirmanakayas in a monastic form, like for example, you can invite the Buddha, you can invite Lama Tsongkhapa, you can invite other Nirmanakayas, you can invite your teachers and others, then you visualize them in a monastic form. So you offer them clothes in an appropriate manner. And also to the Sambhogakayas, you offer Sambhogakaya clothes, silken scarves and ornaments and perfumes and so forth. So it says, "Let me dry their bodies with incomparable cloth, clean and well anointed with scent. And then may I present with fragrant, well-dyed garments, manifold, thin and soft cloth. I adorn with hundreds of this and that supreme ornament." So this is to the Sambhogakaya. To Arya Samantabhadra, Manjughosha, Avalokiteshvara, and so forth. Right? So when you look at those representations of Avalokiteshvara, when you look at the tanka here, sorry for the people at home, but I had a conversation with Dechin about this tanka. So we have those 2 standing bodhisattvas, Vajrapani and Manjughosha, and if you look at the clothing and the ornaments, they are ornaments of the Sambhogakaya. No, actually, I didn't connect the camera, but I can actually connect the camera.
Yeah, because
where is the cable? There it is. Let's. All right. So let's see if it works.
No, it's too much reflection.
Yeah. So the blue one is Vajrapani. So it's not very clear, but it has this crown ornament and ornaments of a Sambhogakaya. And on the other side, yeah, we have Chenrezig. It's also not very clear. We have Chenrezig that also has a crown ornament and Sambhogakaya ornaments. Anyway, yeah, it's a beautiful tanka. It was offered to, as far as I remember, thank you. It was offered to Lama Sopa Rinpoche on one of his visits to Chenrezig Institute, and then he offered it back to us. So, yeah, lucky us. I remember that we offered him the tanka. It's really massive. So Michael, that was the director at the time, and myself had to stand up on chairs and hold the tanka. And everybody were looking at it like 2 or 3 minutes after that. I myself, I'm gonna die. It's so heavy. Just stop. Anyway, so yeah, I survived it, luckily. So this is about offering the garments, the robes to Nirmanakayas and Sambhogakayas. Then let's look again Then we start with making offerings of flowers, incense, food, light, offering an inestimable parasol, music. This is what we've covered today, and also unbroken continuum of blessings in the form of offering. So this is what we've covered today with Geshe-la, right? So in the commentary, just I wanted to pull out maybe a couple of points from the commentary. I highly recommend for those of you at home who have time to read through the description of the offerings, because it's really, I think that it can inspire your meditation, give you more to work with. You know, if you're not very good at visualizing, I'm not that good at visualizing, then, you know, this section gives you quite a lot to work with. So you're making those extensive offerings, and then the commentary says, if you cannot fully encompass with your mind the third order of thousand-world system and the like in regards to these 12 kinds of mentally created offerings, after all, you need to kind of fill the whole universe. But in Buddhist terminology, sometimes we speak about the whole universe that contains many worlds, the third order of thousand-world systems. So billions of world systems are completely filled with offerings. So if you cannot fully encompass with your mind the third order of 1,000 world systems and the like in regards to these 12 kinds of mentally created offerings, then you should just visualize as much as you can, right? So to begin with, I think that for us, do what you can. As Shantideva was a yogin of utmost simplicity, did not teach extensively on the offerings that are physically assembled, but because he taught a supreme method for completely perfecting vast accumulations of merit without any hardship. This is the offerings of the Bodhisattvas skilled in means. Therefore, you should visualize again and again these enumerations of offerings without belittling them. So it's a good, it's a good advice, I think, for meditation. Sometimes when you get instructions on how to make your visualization better, like, for example, when you do a deity practice, it is said that you should alternate between stabilizing meditation or single point meditation and then analytical meditation. So with analytical meditation, for example, you scan the body of the deity. You go from top to bottom, or bottom up. Others, you surface a deity, so you think that, I have my feet look like this, my arms look like this, I have this implement in my right hand, this in the other in my left hand, my eyes look like that. So you scan your body. And then for some time after you develop some familiarity with the way that you look like, you sustain a single point meditation, trying to take it all in once and to familiar your mind with that. So the same thing can also be done with offerings, right? So here the advice that we get is that do that repeatedly and do not belittle the offering that you make, in a sense that I think that just make it real as you can.
Then, I mean, in some of the retreats that I've done, the tantric retreats, and you always, it's time for another offering, like you just make a lot of offerings. It seems essential part of most. And is it even Yamataka? Do they have offering goddesses in Yamataka? I remember one retreat I recently did. It was just offering after offering. So in my mind, so it would stay real for me, like it was another part. It was bring out the offering goddesses, and you have the Buddhas there, and my beautiful Celtic music, and the candles, and the incense, and, so it was really.
You should egg pugs.
Pardon?
Pugs. Dogs. No.
Pugs.
Yeah, pugs.
Pugs.
Yeah, to the offering. That's so sweet.
Oh, no, they don't do my visualization.
They're yours.
Okay.
It was about keeping it real, because I find what they're telling us to do, they're like, that's just beyond my imagination, really.
Well, I think that, normally when we do retreats, group retreats, we have limited time. We have limited time, but also we do them normally in having a really, we have to finish a certain enumeration of mantras in a certain duration of time. So we never really get the time to focus on the extensive making of the offering, build them up in your mind. But I think that if you become used to doing such retreats and you know what the format is, then at home when you do your own practice, you can spend time on making offerings. And then, as it says here, this is a quick way of amassing the collections. Avis is asking, with the offerings of robes according to the Vinaya, we have to stick with the colors of maroon and saffron color. Is there any special meaning with those colors? So I think that no, the colors of Tibetan monastics are maroon, and also they have the particular thangka for yellow and red thangka, so you can visualize that. I think that if your visualization is extensive and you want to make also offerings to hearers and so to realizers, I think that why not also visualize monastics from other traditions? It's not that it's actually spread like that in the text, in the commentaries, but maybe you can do that. Is there any special meaning with those colors? Well, the way that the Tibetans explained that, they said that at the time that the Buddha was alive, red or maroon or this kind of brownish, and I guess you can include within the group of that color scheme also yellowish, orangish kind of thing, they were considered to be inferior colors, whereas good colors were colors that people of spiritual affiliations with some Hindu traditions used to wear, so white or black and so forth. So in order to engender that sense of humility, then the Buddha chose colors that were considered to be inferior, like red, maroon, and so forth. So that's the rationale behind those colors.
Queensland colours, aren't they?
Sorry?
I was making a joke. I just
Okay.
said maroon's the Queensland colours. You're in Queensland. So.
Yeah. It's I remember that I was hanging up with Geshe Jamin. Just a second. Yeah, I was hanging up with Geshe Jamin a few years ago. And it was a day of state of origin, and people were totally mind blown that we chose the right color for state of origin.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So.
Maroon.
Yeah. Is it a good idea to do a financial offering? So Kerry is asking another question. So is it a good idea to do a financial offering through an FMT center like yourself, CI, for His Holiness and Dalai Lama for the initiation, or do visual offerings of your practice of body, speech, and mind as his offering for free? P.S. If someone has already taken Chenrezig initiation, can you take it or not necessarily or not appropriate? If not, can you just listen instead? So first of all, if you want to make offering to His Holiness, of course, the more the better. I think that, yeah, so His Holiness is the Dalai Lama's office is OHHDL. You can also Google it. I think that it's best to, if you want to make offering to His Holiness, it's best to do it directly to them, because otherwise, we then struggle with the technicalities of how we pass on money to India. So it's best that you make this offering directly. Maybe you can make it to through His Holiness's office here in Australia, but you need to Google it and do the research yourself. Sorry? TIO. Yeah, tio.com.au, something. So then if you have taken the empowerment before, then of course you can take it again. With empowerments, you can take them again and again. And I think that, I can't remember if we've covered it here or maybe it was in another teaching that, yeah, so Geshe was saying that it's good to take an empowerment again and again and again, because the first time around it is likely that you're not going to understand what the instructions are. And also sometimes the fifth and sixth time rounds, you don't understand exactly what's happening, but maybe in the 20th time, you develop familiarity with states of empowerment and what you need to visualize. So the more, the better. I think that if you have taken an empowerment with a certain Lama, then it's good to take that empowerment again from that Lama, in the sense that, if you take an empowerment from a Lama that you're not that familiar, and it's the first time that you take an empowerment from that Lama, then you need to keep in mind that you then need to rely upon that person as your spiritual teacher. No, you're taking the Bodhisattva vow from that person. You need to rely upon them as your teacher. So you should really give it a sense of consideration, not wondering if you actually know the person, you know that it's a fully qualified spiritual teacher. Of course, that's in general. With His Holiness the Dalai Lama, I think that, I can say that he's a fully qualified spiritual teacher, but I don't think that this is the correct attitude. I think that the correct attitude is that we should do the checking. If you always take somebody else's word for someone being a fully qualified spiritual teacher, and you yourself don't do the right investigation or find out what the qualification that a spiritual teacher should have, I think that at the end of the day, it could be harmful to you. So if you've taken an empowerment with His Holiness already, you rely upon him. So it's good to take it again. So is that all empowerments can be retaken? Yes, all empowerments can be retaken. Okay. Then let's go back to the commentary. It says, for this practice, one need not visualize the offerings continuously as when visualizing a deity. Instead, without hardship or difficulty, one gathers vast accumulations of merit by repeatedly bringing them to mind for short moments. Then it says, through this, all qualities will arise, including the perfection of the accumulations, the purification of obscurations, the birth of bodhicitta in one's mind, the understanding of what one has studied without forgetting it, and so forth. Therefore, thinking again and again about these enumerated offerings through which one accomplishes great benefit with little hardship and offering them, it is said to be a more vast and pure offering than material offerings one might present, which were acquired through wrong livelihood and negative deeds, or which serve only arrogance and pretentiousness. So that's with respect to making those offerings, offerings that are created by mind, which are considered to be a surpassable offering. Now, the last thing that we've covered today was unsurpassed offering, and that was in verse 22, as far as I remember. Yeah, verse 22, it says, in the same way as Manjughosha and so forth have made offerings to the victors, similarly do I bestow gifts upon the Tathagatas, the protectors, as well as their children. So, in the same as Manjughosha and so forth. So normally we say that actually, not only Manjughosha or Manjushri, but also Samantabhadra in his King of Prayer teaches us how to make those unsurpassable offerings. So before we look at the text, can anyone volunteer briefly to describe what the meaning is of unsurpassable offering? People at home can also volunteer to explain what unsurpassable offering means. What is the way of offering them? Sorry? With emptiness. Carrie is saying, is that all empowerments, sorry, no. So to maybe become more clear about it, I pulled out Samantabhadra's King of Prayer. So let me put it on the screen. 344 in a book. Is it here? No. Is it here? No. Is it here? No. All right, there it is. So we have the King of Prayer, the extraordinary exploration of the practice of Samantabhadra. So Samantabhadra, by the way, is called in Tibetan Kundusambo or Kunsang. Kun means all and Sang means good. So it is like I guess, the entirely wholesome conduct or practice. That's the meaning of Samantabhadra. So we do this prayer often. It is considered to be an excellent way of making prayers and aspirations. So
now the fact that they've got Iber down to the useful Arya Manjushri means that it is in the
in the Abhidhamma.
That's it.
Yeah, so when it begins with saying, I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri, it indicates that this prayer belongs to the section to the basket of Abhidhamma, to the wisdom, the one that teaches mainly the training in wisdom.
And Tantra.
I'm not sure. No, I think that kind of the three baskets describe the teaching, the sutra teachings rather than the tantric teachings.
You have the sutra basket. The sutra has
Yeah.
the whole basket.
So the whole sutras are divided into the three baskets, and one of them is called sutra. So that's a little bit confusing. So the whole sutra, sorry?
I said, that's very confusing.
Yeah, I know, just kind of.
Tibetans, they love to do that to you, don't they?
Well, I'm not sure that that's Tibetans. I think that that's Buddhism in general. Yeah, that's the fault of Buddhism rather than the fault of Tibetans. Which reminds me, that's, by the way, kind of when Geshe-la spoke today about making those offerings of music and instruments. And he said that, there are some sounds that you might not like, and, bed sound, and, it's like they appear to you to be like inherently existing sound. I thought myself that, in most times when I hear Tibetan playing instruments, it sounds like a cacophony. It doesn't sound like
Music, no.
music. I mean, but it's quite interesting for them. For them, it's absolutely beautiful. And when I speak sometimes with my teacher, Geshe-la, and they play those different types of cymbal, they can. They have that idea or that understanding that some have a really nice sound, some doesn't have that nice sound. This is more like, for me, it's like,
It's all loud.
yeah, all sounds very loud. I would offer Pearl Jam. Anyway.
And the galley.
Yeah.
The galley is just.
Offer a U2 concert. Anyway, so with Samantabhadra prayer, so it's actually quite nice because it begins with, first of all, paying homage, and then it says, when you look at the way that Samantabhadra is offering, it says, with energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of disrespect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, to all you Buddhas visualize as real, I bow down. So, and then it says, on every atom are Buddhas and numberless as atoms, each amidst a host of bodhisattvas, and I'm confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. With infinite oceans of praise for you, an ocean of sound from the aspect of my voice, to sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you gone to bliss. So then we have the 7 limbs, right? So the beginning of Samantabhadra prayer begins with the 7 limbs of worship, but making that way of offerings that is considered to be unsurpassable offering is done in visualizing that you emanate countless bodies. Each one of those countless bodies has many heads, many tongues. So you're prostrating with those countless bodies to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And it says here that you also visualize that on each and every atom, there is a Buddha seated amidst a crowd of bodhisattvas, and so you visualize that the whole universe, on each and every atom, there is a Buddha field, and you, with countless bodies, you're making prostrations to them. With your many heads and tongues, you're praising them. With your mind, you think of the qualities, and then you emanate those offerings, right? So you offer flowers and incense and powdered incense and fragrances and lights and so forth, and all those countless bodies, each one of them is making those offerings. So, and to that we can also add what Chuki said, that you also then consider everything as a display of emptiness. So you see everything with the emptiness of the 3 spheres. So yourself is empty of inherent existence. What you offer is empty of inherent existence. The object of offerings, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, on each and every atom, they are also empty of inherent existence. The act of making offering is empty of inherent existence. So this is an unsurpassable offering in the sense that, I guess that it's so full on that there is no there's nothing that is more extensive than that in making offerings. That is the unsurpassable offerings.
You just can't, it's fathomless, fathomless.
Yeah. Yeah, indescribable. Yeah.
It's totally.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, you know, 1 minute you're offering, and then
It's just this.
and which is on all the atoms, and then in the next minute the Buddha field, they're on all the atoms. So you've got to make this transition between all the atoms.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty kind of, you know, it's hard to know what's happening in the minds of people. You know, how could someone like me know what's happening in somebody else's mind? But sometimes you see that, you know, you see Lama Zopa Rinpoche making offerings, and there are also stories about him kind of taking so many hours of making offerings of food and so forth. So I think that, you know, for us, it shows the importance of thinking about it seriously, you know, and also trying to build up ourselves. You know, it's not that we have to physically copycat whatever Lama Zopa Rinpoche is saying, is body language and so forth. But I think that what we can see from great masters like that is the importance of, you know, putting our heart and mind into trying at least to visualize that as best as we can. And I think that we also need to be moderate in the way that you build up your visualization. You know, obviously we're not going to be able to do everything perfectly now, but you start small, you do it again and again, and the more you do it, you can extend on your making of offerings. And this is, I think, the benefits of once you do like a group retreat, then you can do your own retreat and then build up on that familiarity. I mean, you don't have to go on retreat. You can also, I mean, if you can do that, excellent. But if you cannot do that, and you have a daily meditation practice, then those elements are things that we can actually take from these teachings and incorporate into our daily practice. So, is there a queen of prayer?
Is there a queen of prayer?
Well, there is a Dharma queen prayer. Yeah. 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 All right. So that's what I wanted to pull out today from the text. Now, since we have 5 minutes and I promised to start, thank you very much for that, Graham. Since I wanted to start with the 14 root downfalls, so let's maybe just cover the first one, just make sure that we studied. So remember that sometimes we speak about the Bodhisattva vows in plural. This is how it was translated into English. And then it's easy sometimes to think of, well, what are the sometimes people say it like that, what are the 18 Bodhisattva vows? They're then they say, praising myself and belittling others. But it'd be awkward to vow to praise yourself and belittle other, right? So this is a downfall, which means that, we have a list of 18 root downfalls. If you perform them in a certain situation, under certain conditions, we will look at those conditions, then the vow will be broken. So in order to protect the vow from being broken, then we guard against those 18 root downfalls. So the first one is praising myself and belittling others. So we have a commentary, I'll put it on the screen. I think if it's not on the Dropbox, I will upload it today to the Dropbox. Now, I think that if you look at a proper FEMT accreditation process, if you do the exams, then you also need to memorize the 18 root downfalls. I mean, it's not only kind of FEMT prerequisites. Actually, if you want to guard the Bodhisattva vow properly, you need to know what you're guarding. You need to know what to abstain from, what to refrain from. So don't take that as like something that you need to know for an exam. Take it for what you need to do on a daily basis in order to keep your Bodhisattva practice. So, for example, it says how to protect the Bodhisattva vows from degeneration. First, learn the foundations of the Bodhisattva trainings by properly relying upon a sublime spiritual guide, learned in the Bodhisattva canon and its commentary. So, hey, this is what we're doing at the moment. We're looking at Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life. In particular, you must know the 18 root downfalls and the 46 secondary offenses. So if you wonder what's the difference between the root downfalls and the secondary offenses, we have 46 secondary offenses. And basically, if you guard against them, you'll find it easier to guard against the 18 root downfalls. So it's quite interesting because normally we only get the time to look at the 18 root downfalls and we don't look at the 46 secondary offenses. But basically, if you guard those 40 against those 46, you find it very easy to abstain from the 18. So anyway, let's begin with the 18. The first one says, if out of attachment to material gain and honor, you praise yourself or belittle someone of good qualities, it is a root downfall of praising oneself and belittling others. This is divided into two root downfalls, praising oneself and belittling others. So we can think of certain scenarios, for example, in order to illustrate that. Like, for example, here at Chenrezig Institute, we have, or, also I guess that's in other places, sometimes you hang up with monastics, and people come and give you presents or offerings. So if I say, for example, someone comes with offerings and I would say, I've been a monk for, however many years, and, we have a few younger ones. So, it's much better to make offerings to those senior monastic, and I'm a senior monastic, they are not a senior monastic. This is, I think, a root downfall of praising oneself and belittling others, out of attachment to gain and honor. Because I want to get a present, I would say, don't give it to them, give it to me because I'm senior. That's a root downfall. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, I think that we find ourselves in other situations where I think sometimes in everyday life, you want to seek a certain position, you want to seek a certain advantage, even if you do not praise yourself explicitly, you can find ways to play down the qualities of others in order to set yourself up. Sometimes it's quite, sometimes we do that even without recognizing. Hinting, innuendo. So, we have sometimes certain involvements with wrong livelihoods in order to improve our position out of attachment to gain and honor. So if you do that, that's a root downfall. It's 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. So we've covered the first root downfall today. Maybe I'm wondering for the next time, do you think that it's best, first of all, to look at the 4 binding conditions?
Yeah, I think the 4 binding conditions would be.
All right, so.
Because that applies to taking
yeah.
the Bodhisattva altogether.
So tomorrow, do we have a session tomorrow? Yeah, we do have a session tomorrow. So tomorrow before continuing on with the remaining 17 root downfalls, we will look at the 4 binding factors that need to be present for a certain root downfalls to be incurred. So I think that, if you keep in mind those 4 binding conditions, then you can also look again at praising oneself and belittling others and look at different scenarios and how you should abstain from making sure that those 4 binding conditions come together.
Are you going to provide us with the answers to the exam?
Yes. So the question is, am I going to provide you with the answers to the exam? So the answers for the first exam have been already given, and also they're on the Dropbox, so you can check it out. And with the second exam, I started getting some answer sheets back, so I'm marking them at home. And when everyone sends me their exam sheets, we'll send their answer sheets back together with the marked exams. So thank you very much for those who are doing that. Let's do the dedication. Nyodo da lama sangye dobyone do wachikyan malupa de salagopa sho chanchu semcho rimpoch make panan ke gyuchi ke panyam pa me panya gone gondo pewa sho kowe shinkam de pendan de wa malu juwene Chenrezig Tenze Yatsoi Shape site badu tengyu chi. Tu tsu jan chin jan gung gawe. Ten zin kyong pe we kun zo do po se. Cho sun ko we le mon du du. Pa da so du je. Gon du sha ten shu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carter.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Peace and love. Don't forget your calls from the railing.
Yeah, hang your clothes up.
Yeah. All right.